Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, where today I'm going to be talking about Veronica Mars, which originally ran on television from 2004 to 2007, then secured a follow-up film in 2014 and a one-season revival in 2019. We go right back to the start of the series. Our titular character is a high school student who is very much not in the wealthy in crowd at her school. Now, this was not always the case. It wasn't that long ago that Veronica's father was the town sheriff, and while that was a bit blue collar for her to automatically gain entry into the ultra wealthy clique, she was dating the coolest boy in school, and she was best friends with the coolest girl. Then that best friend, Lily Kane, was murdered. Veronica's father, the sheriff, remember, accused Lily's father of the murder, and the Mars family quickly found itself socially ostracized by the social and financial weight of the Kane family. Danny Mars lost his job, and the new sheriff, who was entirely in the pocket of the town's wealthy families, immediately found and stitched up a new suspect for the murder. Now ostracized at school, Veronica helps her dad by answering the phone at his new private investigation business and makes some pocket money on the side by doing freelance investigations for kids at the school. She also is secretly looking for proof of who actually killed Lily because she's confident it's not the man that the sheriff stitched up. That search for Lily's murderer forms the framing narrative for the show's first season, with the show then moving on to new mysteries in its later seasons and incarnations. Now, Veronica Mars won instant critical acclaim. It was described as smart and engaging by LA Weekly and pulsing with promise by The Village Voice. Writer director Kevin Smith, who guest starred in an episode, described it as the best show on television right now and proof that TV can be far better than cinema. Even horror meister Stephen King got on the praise caravan, saying the show was Nancy Drew meets Philip Marlowe and that the result was pure nitro. Why, he asked, is Veronica Mars so good? Bears little resemblance to life as I know it, but I can't take my eyes off it. Despite all this acclaim, however, the show never found a large audience. Broadcaster UPN, now the CW, showed considerable loyalty in giving it 3 seasons when it consistently ranked in the bottom 10% of its shows for its time slot. However small in number the fan base might be, however, they were passionate. When creator Rob Thomas and star Kristen Bell launched a 2013 Kickstarter to help crowdfund a sequel movie, the project met its $2 million goal in a mere 10 hours and ultimately raised nearly 3 times that initial target. So, why did the show struggle to land a large audience, and why did it provoke such enthusiasm from those who did get into it? Well, I think there were a few factors at work. Now, nowadays, we live in an era where TV has embraced the opportunities presented to it by long form storytelling. Whether or not they stick the landing of their finale, and let's face it, they often don't because endings are hard, shows like Game of Thrones, House of Cards, and Breaking Bad have shown the potential power of multi year stories in television and long form storytelling. But in 2004, when Veronica Mars first launched, that was much less common. And in particular, it was much less common in most TV that was aimed at a primarily teenage audience, which by definition, any show set in high school tends to be. Now, I'm not saying that only teenagers can like the show because it's set in high school. My teenage years were far behind me when this show came out, and I was still a fan, but I'm not kidding myself that I was part of the primary intended audience. Veronica Mars is also unusual for its time, not only for that, but also because it featured a tough and feisty female lead in a non-comedic, non-soap opera style show, and that leading female was also one who regularly outmaneuvered and outwitted her male opponents. Further, the show also combined solid episode by episode plots with a satisfying season long arc that unfurled at a well regulated pace, delivered a solid conclusion, and never felt like it cheated to maintain the mystery as it got there. But of course, all of these points of differences, they can be a selling point, but they can also be a barrier to enjoyment for some people. So the show's ambition and innovation may actually have hindered its commercial success and viability. Also, possibly a hindrance to that success and viability was its conscious embrace of noir tropes, including voiceover narration from the main character. Personally, I think that element of the show is well executed and effective, but I was familiar with and a fan of noir cinema before watching this program. For people who don't have that background, having a character actively narrating at them in voiceover might have felt weird and off putting. So, there may have been some structural barriers to immediately grabbing a wide audience, but for those who did get engaged, a second major strength of the show soon became apparent, which was that the cast was great. Lead Kristen Bell was a relative unknown at the time, but her performance on the show quickly demonstrated she had the potential to be a real star. Her Veronica was prickly but compassionate, self reliant but not immune to insecurity, a complex person with layers. And sure, the writing had to give her those layers, of course, but convincingly portraying them was all on Belle. Her subsequent success in showed up in good place. Things like Frozen come as no surprise to me. And she was ably supported by the rest of the cast. Belle's rapport with her on screen father, played by Enrico Colantoni, was so convincing that the crowdfunding campaign for the 2014 film made something of a meme of it. And Veronica's other friendships and rivalries, and some relationships that are both at the same time, also sparkle. The casting team are the show's unsung heroes to my mind. I can't think of a single time they put a foot wrong, and they came up with some genuinely excellent surprises and subversions in their selection of actors for roles. So the show has an innovative, well executed structure and a great cast. Rush out and watch the whole thing immediately, right? Well, maybe not. Because unfortunately, after its genuinely excellent first season, I don't think Veronica Mars ever quite attains the same heights again. The cast is still great, of course, but season two reuses a few too many of the same story beats in its main mystery, and season three is quite uneven. It also doubled down on my least favourite aspect of the show, which was its occasional uncomfortable focus on proving Veronica's sexual purity. I get that policing young women's sexuality is very much a thing that society tends to do and something that a woman like Veronica would certainly have to face. But it feels to me that the show presents this policing and judgment as wrong because Veronica isn't actually sexually promiscuous, rather than wrong because Veronica's body and what she does with it is no one's business but hers, and that shaming women for their sexuality is a bad thing to do, full stop, the end. 20 years have made a difference, I guess. The 2014 film also didn't work for me. Much of its runtime is taken up by wedging in 3 seasons of background from the TV show and giving as many former cast members as possible a cameo. And that's touching loyalty, but it's a detriment to the film, both in terms of the roles that those cast members get to play, which are mostly cameos, very minor, and also adversely impacted the plot. The investigation of the film relies a whole lot on happenstance, and a couple of times the film makes Veronica look pretty darn clueless, frankly. Overall, I think the 2019 series was an improvement and probably the show's best run since its excellent first year. It introduces fun new characters, it gives a bit more time and attention to some of the returning secondary players, and the core mission mystery is solidly constructed and satisfying. However, that series does also feature a highly contentious plot development that some long term fans of the show really hated, so be aware of that. Definitely watch season one, is my advice, and then make your own choices from there. You may be happier just giving it a saying that's a great story. I've watched it all good now. Next time, they're the best there is at what they do, bub. And apparently, what they do is bicker and occasionally fight bad guys. It's Deadpool and Wolverine, which just recently hit theaters. But that is next time. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you've seen Veronica Mars, let me know what you thought of it.